The massive structure lay dormant, a relic of a bygone era. Dust motes floated lazily in the shafts of sunlight that penetrated the decrepit hangar's roof, settling on the hulking form of the once feared Dreadnought. To most, it was nothing more than a museum piece, an artifact from a war long past and best forgotten. Its polished metal exterior was now tarnished, the once bright insignia of the United Earth Federation faded and chipped. Captain Elena Markovich stood at the entrance of the hangar, her gaze fixed on the giant war machine. She was a striking figure, tall and lean with an air of authority that came naturally after years of command. Her uniform, crisp and adorned with medals, spoke of her dedication and service. But it was her eyes, sharp and unyielding, that truly conveyed her strength. Beside her stood Dr. Marcus Tully, a historian and one of the leading experts on the Federation's military history. His enthusiasm for the old Dreadnought was palpable, a stark contrast to Elena's stoic demeanor. He adjusted his glasses, the lenses reflecting the dim light as he spoke animatedly. "Captain Markovich, this is a marvel of engineering. The human Dreadnought was the pinnacle of our military technology. It's a shame that it's been left to gather dust here." Elena nodded absently, her mind elsewhere. She was well aware of the Dreadnought's history, having studied it extensively during her time at the Academy. The ship had been pivotal during the Second Galactic War, turning the tide in several key battles. But that was decades ago. Technology had advanced, and the Dreadnought had become obsolete, replaced by faster, more agile ships. "It's more than just a relic, Dr. Tully," she replied, her voice firm. "It's a symbol of our resilience and strength, but we can't afford to live in the past. Our enemies are evolving, and we must evolve with them." Dr. Tully's eyes sparkled with curiosity and determination. "I understand, Captain, but imagine what we could learn by studying it up close. There's a wealth of knowledge locked within its systems, knowledge that could help us improve our current fleet." Elena sighed, her gaze drifting back to the Dreadnought. "Perhaps you're right, but it's not my decision to make. The Council will decide what to do with it." As if on cue, a third figure approached, their footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. Admiral Nathaniel Harper, head of the United Earth Federation's Military Council, strode toward them. His presence commanded respect, his broad shoulders and stern expression leaving no room for doubt about his authority. "Captain Markovich, Dr. Tully," he greeted them with a curt nod. "I've reviewed your proposal, and I must say it's intriguing." Elena and Dr. Tully exchanged glances, hope flickering in their eyes. Admiral Harper continued, his tone measured and thoughtful. "The Council has agreed to a preliminary investigation. We'll activate the Dreadnought's systems and assess its capabilities. If it proves useful, we may consider integrating some of its technology into our current fleet." Dr. Tully beamed with excitement, while Elena felt a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. The Dreadnought was a powerful relic, but awakening it could bring unforeseen consequences. "Thank you, Admiral," Elena said, her voice steady. "We'll begin preparations immediately." As the three of them made their way deeper into the hangar, the enormity of the task ahead began to sink in. Reactivating the Dreadnought would require a delicate balance of engineering prowess and historical knowledge. But if they succeeded, they could unlock secrets that had been buried for decades. The crew assembled for the task was a mix of seasoned veterans and fresh-faced recruits, each chosen for their unique skills and expertise. Engineers, historians, and military strategists all worked together, their combined efforts focused on one goal: bringing the Dreadnought back to life. Elena oversaw the operation, her presence a steadying influence amid the controlled chaos. She watched as teams of engineers crawled over the massive hull, checking for structural weaknesses and repairing any damage. Inside, technicians worked to reactivate the ship's power systems, their hands moving deftly over ancient controls and wiring. Dr. Tully, meanwhile, was in his element. He pored over old schematics and manuals, his excitement growing with each new discovery. The Dreadnought was a treasure trove of information, and he was determined to uncover every last bit of it. Days turned into weeks as the team worked tirelessly. Slowly but surely, the Dreadnought began to stir. Lights flickered to life, consoles hummed with power, and the ship's systems awoke from their long slumber. The air buzzed with anticipation as the final preparations were made. Finally, the day came when they were ready to test the Dreadnought's systems. The team gathered in the ship's command center, their faces a mix of excitement and nervousness. Elena stood at the helm, her hand hovering over the control panel. "Are we ready?" she asked, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. "All systems are green," a technician replied. "We're ready to proceed." Elena took a deep breath, her gaze sweeping over the expectant faces of her team. This was it, the moment they had all been working toward. She pressed the activation button, and the Dreadnought roared to life. The ship shuddered as its engines powered up, the hum of energy filling the air. Lights blazed to full brightness, and the control panels lit up with activity. Elena's heart pounded in her chest as she watched the systems come online, one by one. "We have full power," the technician reported, his voice barely containing his excitement. "All systems are operational." Elena allowed herself a small smile. They had done it. The Dreadnought was alive once more. But this was only the beginning. They still had much to learn, and many challenges to overcome. "Let's see what this old warhorse can do," she said, her voice filled with determination. As the Dreadnought's systems hummed with life, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. This ship, once a symbol of humanity's might, was now a beacon of hope, and with it, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their mission to protect the Federation. The Dreadnought was no longer just a museum piece. It was a testament to their past and a promise for their future. Elena's team settled into the rhythms of their new reality aboard the Dreadnought. The sheer scale of the ship was overwhelming, with its vast corridors and countless compartments. Each day brought new discoveries as they delved deeper into the vessel's systems and history. In the engineering bay, Chief Engineer Grant Sanders crouched beside a console, his hands deftly maneuvering tools as he calibrated the ship's power core. Sparks flew, illuminating his determined face. "Power core's stabilizing," he muttered to himself. "We're getting there." Nearby, Dr. Tully hovered, eager to capture every detail. "Remarkable, isn't it? The technology in this ship was ahead of its time." Grant nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. "Ahead, yes, but we're still figuring out how it all works. This isn't just an old warship, it's a puzzle." Elena entered the bay, her presence commanding attention. "How's progress, Chief?" "We're making headway," Grant replied, "but it's slow going. These systems are unlike anything we've seen in decades. It's a blend of old and new tech." "Keep at it," Elena said, her tone encouraging. "We need this ship at full operational capacity as soon as possible." As Elena turned to leave, the lights flickered and dimmed. A low hum filled the air, growing louder by the second. Grant's eyes widened. "What the hell?" Dr. Tully's expression shifted from curiosity to alarm. "This shouldn't be happening. The systems are—" A sudden jolt threw them all off balance. Elena grabbed a railing, her eyes narrowing. "Report!" Grant's fingers flew over the console. "It's the power core. It's destabilizing." Elena's mind raced. "Shut it down, now!" Grant's hands moved with practiced precision, but the humming grew louder, a crescendo of imminent disaster. Just as the noise reached its peak, the ship shuddered violently, then fell silent. The lights returned to normal, and the hum dissipated. Elena exhaled slowly. "Status?" Grant checked his readings. "Crisis averted for now. We've got a lot of work ahead." Dr. Tully shook his head, eyes wide with lingering fear. "That was close. Too close." Elena's jaw tightened. "We can't afford mistakes like this. Everyone needs to be at their best." In the command center, Lieutenant Maria Sanchez monitored the ship's external sensors. She noticed a blip on her screen and frowned. "Captain, we've got something on the scanners. It's faint, but there." Elena moved to her side, examining the readout. "Could be debris or another ship. Can you get a clearer reading?" Maria adjusted the sensors, fine-tuning their sensitivity. The blip resolved into a more defined shape. "It's a ship, all right, and it's heading our way." "On screen," Elena ordered. The main display flickered to life, showing a small, sleek vessel approaching the Dreadnought. Its design was unfamiliar, a blend of alien and human technology. Elena's eyes narrowed. "Hail them!" Maria opened a channel, her voice steady. "Unidentified vessel. This is Captain Elena Markovich of the United Earth Federation. State your intentions." A moment passed before the screen filled with the image of an alien figure, humanoid but with distinctly non-human features. Its skin was a pale blue, and its eyes glowed with an inner light. It spoke, its voice a strange blend of musical tones and harsh consonants. "I am Commander Raleth of the Vokari. We come in peace seeking an alliance with the Federation." Elena's expression remained guarded. "What kind of alliance?" Raleth's gaze was unwavering. "A mutual defense pact. Our enemies grow stronger, and we cannot stand alone. Together, we might stand a chance." Elena considered the proposal, aware of the implications. "We'll need to discuss this with the Council. For now, you're welcome to dock and meet with us in person." Raleth nodded. "Agreed. We will await your signal." As the channel closed, Elena turned to her crew. "Prepare for their arrival, and keep an eye on their ship. We can't afford any surprises." Hours later, the Vokari delegation boarded the Dreadnought. Raleth and his officers were escorted to the conference room, where Elena and her senior staff awaited. The room was tense, the air thick with anticipation. Raleth spoke first, his tone measured. "Our situation is dire. The Korvath, a race bent on conquest, have been expanding their territory. They will reach our homeworld soon." Elena leaned forward. "And you believe an alliance with the Federation will deter them?" Raleth's eyes glowed brighter. "Yes. Your technology and our tactics could be a formidable combination. Together we can resist them." Dr. Tully, ever the historian, couldn't resist a question. "Why now? Why not seek us out before?" Raleth's expression softened. "Pride, perhaps. We believed we could handle the threat alone, but now we see the truth. We need each other." Elena nodded slowly. "We'll consider your proposal, but know this. Any alliance must be built on trust and mutual respect. Betray that, and there will be consequences." Raleth inclined his head. "Understood, Captain." The meeting concluded, and the Vokari were escorted back to their ship. Elena watched them go, her mind racing. An alliance with the Vokari could tip the balance in their favor, but it also posed risks. She turned to her crew. "Thoughts?" Grant was the first to speak. "We need every advantage we can get. If the Vokari can help us, we should take it." Maria nodded. "Agreed. But we should proceed with caution. We don't know much about them." Dr. Tully added, "This could be an opportunity to learn. Their technology, their history. It could benefit us greatly." Elena sighed, feeling the weight of her decision. "We'll take it to the Council. For now, let's focus on getting the ship fully operational. If war is coming, we need to be ready." The days that followed were a blur of activity. Engineers worked around the clock, fine-tuning systems and repairing damaged components. Technicians pored over ancient schematics, unlocking the secrets of the Dreadnought's advanced weaponry. Elena spent long hours in the command center, coordinating efforts and keeping a close eye on the Vokari ship. Despite their friendly overtures, she couldn't shake a lingering sense of unease. Trust had to be earned, and she wasn't ready to lower her guard just yet. One evening, as the ship's artificial night cycle began, Elena found herself alone in the observation deck. She stared out at the stars, their distant light a reminder of the vastness of space and the challenges that lay ahead. She heard footsteps behind her and turned to see Grant approaching. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked. Elena smiled faintly. "Something like that. Just thinking about everything. The Vokari, the Korvath, this ship. It's a lot to take in." Grant nodded, joining her at the window. "We'll figure it out. We always do." She appreciated his confidence, even if she didn't fully share it. "Let's hope so. There's too much at stake." Grant placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We've got a good team, Elena. We'll make it work." She nodded, finding some comfort in his words. They stood in silence for a while, watching the stars and contemplating the uncertain future. As the days turned into weeks, The Dreadnought's transformation neared completion. Systems that had lain dormant for decades were reawakened, and the ship's once mighty arsenal was restored to its former glory. The crew's efforts were tireless, driven by a shared determination to see the Dreadnought rise again. And rise it did. The ship was no longer a relic of the past. It was a beacon of hope and a symbol of resilience, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Elena stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the myriad of displays and readouts. The Dreadnought was a hive of activity. Every member of the crew focused on their tasks. The Volcari Alliance had been approved by the Council, and now they were preparing for their first joint mission. "Status report," Elena commanded, her voice cutting through the low hum of the ship's systems. Maria's fingers danced over her console. "All systems green. The Volcari ship is ready to depart on your command, Captain." Elena nodded. "Open a channel to Commander Raleth." The screen flickered, and the blue-skinned visage of Raleth appeared. His eyes, glowing with that inner light, conveyed a mixture of resolve and anticipation. "Captain Markovich, we are prepared to engage the Korvath. Are your forces ready?" Elena met his gaze with unwavering determination. "We are. Let's show them what this alliance can do." As the channel closed, Elena turned to her crew. "Prepare for departure. All hands, battle stations." The Dreadnought rumbled as its engines powered up, the immense ship slowly moving out of the hangar. Beside them, the sleek Volcari vessel glided effortlessly, a testament to their advanced engineering. Together, they cut through the vastness of space, heading toward the coordinates provided by Raleth. Hours later, the Dreadnought and the Volcari ship arrived at the edge of Korvath-controlled space. The atmosphere on the bridge was tense, each crew member acutely aware of the stakes. Elena leaned over Maria's shoulder, her eyes fixed on the scanner readouts. "Anything?" she asked. Maria shook her head. "Not yet, but they could be cloaked." Raleth's voice came through the comms. "Captain, our sensors are picking up a faint energy signature. It matches Korvath cloaking technology." Elena's jaw tightened. "Ready all weapons. Prepare to decloak them." Grant's voice crackled over the intercom from engineering. "Weapons hot and ready, Captain." Elena nodded. "Maria, fire a spread of EMP torpedoes. Let's see if we can flush them out." Maria's hands moved swiftly, launching the torpedoes into the void. A moment later, brilliant bursts of electromagnetic energy lit up the darkness. The space ahead shimmered, revealing the dark, menacing shapes of Korvath warships. "Targets acquired," Maria announced, her voice steady. Elena didn't hesitate. "Engage at will." The Dreadnought's guns roared to life, unleashing a barrage of firepower that tore through the Korvath ships. The Volcari vessel joined the fray, its weapons systems adding to the onslaught. Explosions rocked the enemy fleet as the combined might of the human and Volcari alliance overwhelmed them. Amidst the chaos, Elena remained focused, directing her crew with precision. "Keep up the pressure. Don't let them regroup." The battle raged on, the Dreadnought and the Volcari ship moving in perfect synchronization. Their combined tactics were a deadly dance, each maneuver calculated to maximize their impact. The Korvath, caught off guard by the unexpected alliance, struggled to mount an effective defense. In the heart of the Dreadnought, Grant worked furiously to maintain the ship's systems under the strain of battle. "We're holding, but we can't keep this up forever," he reported, sweat dripping from his brow. Elena acknowledged his words with a curt nod. "Do what you can, Chief. We need to end this quickly." As if sensing their desperation, the Korvath launched a desperate counterattack. Their ships converged on the Dreadnought, their weapons blazing. The ship shuddered under the assault, alarms blaring throughout the corridors. "We've got multiple hull breaches," a technician shouted. Elena's eyes narrowed. "Divert all power to the shields. Maria, target their lead ship. If we take it out, the others might retreat." Maria nodded, her fingers flying over the controls. "Target locked. Firing now." The Dreadnought's main cannon unleashed a devastating beam of energy, striking the Korvath flagship dead center. The ship erupted in a brilliant explosion, debris scattering into the void. The remaining Korvath ships faltered, their formation breaking as they attempted to regroup. Sensing their advantage, Raleth's voice came through the comms. "Press the attack, Captain. They are vulnerable." Elena's resolve hardened. All units, focus fire on the remaining ships. Let's finish this. The combined firepower of the Dreadnought and the Volcari ship proved too much for the beleaguered Korvath fleet. One by one their ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. As the last enemy vessel fled into the depths of space, a cheer went up from the crew. Elena allowed herself a moment of relief, but she knew this was just the beginning. "Status report," she demanded. Grant's voice crackled through the intercom. "Hull integrity is compromised, but we're holding. It'll take some time to repair the damage." Elena turned to Maria. "Any signs of reinforcements?" Maria checked her scanners. "Negative, Captain. It looks like they weren't expecting such a strong resistance." Raleth's image appeared on the main screen, his expression one of cautious optimism. "We have won this battle, Captain, but the war is far from over." Elena nodded in agreement. "You're right. But today we sent a message. The Federation and the Volcari stand together, and together we are stronger." Raleth's eyes glowed with a renewed determination. "Indeed. This is only the beginning of our partnership. We have much to discuss and much to prepare for." As the screen went dark, Elena looked out at the stars, her mind already racing with the possibilities. They had taken the first step toward a new future, but the path ahead was fraught with danger. She knew they would face many more challenges. But for now, they had proven that unity could prevail against even the greatest of threats. She turned to her crew, their faces filled with pride and exhaustion. "Let's get to work. We have a ship to repair and a war to win." With that, the crew of the Dreadnought set about their tasks, united in purpose and ready for whatever lay ahead. The crew worked tirelessly, repairing the hull and restoring systems. The Dreadnought, though battered, was far from beaten. As the ship's systems came back online, a new sense of purpose filled the air. The alliance with the Volcari had proven effective, but they knew the Korvath would return, stronger and more determined. Elena stood in the command center, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the galaxy and the various fleet movements. "We need to strike before they regroup," she said, her tone resolute. "The Korvath won't give us another chance." Raleth appeared on the main screen, his expression mirroring Elena's determination. "Agreed, Captain. We have identified several key Korvath installations. A coordinated strike could cripple their operations." Elena nodded. "We'll need to be precise. One mistake, and we'll lose our advantage. Grant, how are the repairs?" Grant's voice was steady despite the exhaustion visible on his face. "We've reinforced the hull and restored primary systems. Weapons are at 80%, but we can make it work." "Good. Maria, plot a course to the nearest Korvath outpost. We'll hit them where it hurts," Elena ordered. Maria's fingers flew over the console. "Course plotted and ready, Captain." Elena turned to her crew, each member focused and ready. "This is it. We're taking the fight to them. No more waiting, no more defense. We strike now, and we strike hard." The Dreadnought and the Volcari vessel moved swiftly through space, their combined might a formidable force. As they approached the first Korvath outpost, tension ran high. The element of surprise was crucial. "Drop out of warp," Elena commanded. The stars blurred and then snapped back into focus as the ships emerged near the Korvath installation. The outpost, a sprawling complex of ships and defenses, loomed ahead. Alarms blared as the Korvath realized the threat. "All units, engage!" Elena shouted. The battle was fierce and immediate. The Dreadnought's cannons roared, tearing through enemy defenses. Volcari fighters darted around, their advanced technology outmaneuvering the Korvath ships. Explosions lit up the void as the Alliance's relentless assault pushed the enemy back. "Target their command center," Raleth suggested, his voice filled with urgency. "Cut off the head and the body will fall." "Maria, you heard him. Focus fire on the command center," Elena ordered. The Dreadnought's main cannon charged, unleashing a devastating blast that struck the heart of the Korvath outpost. The explosion rippled through the complex, causing secondary blasts as power cores overloaded and ships were consumed in flames. "Command center is down," Maria reported, a triumphant edge to her voice. The remaining Korvath forces faltered, their coordination collapsing without central command. The Alliance pressed their advantage, mopping up the last pockets of resistance. As the final Korvath ship was destroyed, a cheer went up from the crew. Elena allowed herself a moment of relief, but she knew their work was far from over. Raleth's image appeared on the screen, his expression one of satisfaction. "A decisive victory, Captain. But we must remain vigilant. The Korvath will not take this defeat lightly." Elena nodded. "You're right. This is just the beginning. We'll need to keep the pressure on and secure our borders." Grant's voice cut in. "Captain, we've intercepted a transmission. It's heavily encrypted, but it appears to be from the Korvath High Command." Elena's eyes narrowed. "Can we decrypt it?" "Working on it," Grant replied. "This encryption is advanced, but we'll crack it." Hours later, the message was finally decrypted. Elena and her senior staff gathered in the command center to review it. The contents were chilling. The Korvath were planning a counter-offensive, one that would target both human and Vokari homeworlds. "We have to stop them," Raleth said, his voice firm. "If they succeed, our people will be annihilated." Elena's mind raced. "We need to take the fight to their homeworld. It's the only way to end this." The Vokari commander nodded in agreement. "It's a risky move, but it may be our best chance." Preparations began immediately. The combined fleets of the Federation and the Vokari gathered, their forces swelling as ships from allied systems joined the cause. It was an unprecedented coalition, united by the common threat of the Korvath. As the final preparations were made, Elena addressed her crew one last time. "This is it, our final push. We fight not just for ourselves, but for every species that stands against tyranny. Let's show the Korvath that they cannot break our spirit." The fleet launched, cutting through space towards the Korvath homeworld. The journey was tense, every moment filled with the anticipation of the coming battle. As they neared their destination, the Korvath fleet awaited, a dark mass of ships bristling with weaponry. "All units, prepare for combat," Elena commanded. The final battle began with a fury unmatched by any previous engagement. The sky was ablaze with the fire of 1,000 ships, each side throwing everything they had into the fray. The Dreadnought led the charge, its powerful cannons tearing through enemy lines. "Focus fire on their flagships," Elena ordered. "We need to break their command structure." The combined firepower of the Alliance began to turn the tide. One by one, the Korvath flagships fell, their once coordinated attacks descending into chaos. Amidst the chaos, Elena spotted the Korvath command ship. "That's our target," she said, pointing to the massive vessel. "Take it down." The Dreadnought and the Vokari vessel concentrated their fire, blasting through the command ship's defenses. With a final, devastating volley, the Korvath command ship exploded, signaling the end of their resistance, as the remaining Korvath ships either surrendered or fled. A sense of victory swept over the Alliance forces. The Korvath threat had been neutralized, their power broken. Elena stood on the bridge, surveying the aftermath. The cost had been high, but they had succeeded. "We did it," she said quietly, her voice filled with a mix of relief and exhaustion. Raleth appeared on the screen, his expression one of profound respect. "We did it together, Captain. This victory belongs to all of us." The celebrations were muted by the losses they had suffered, but there was a sense of hope and unity that could not be denied. The Alliance had proven that even the greatest of threats could be overcome when species stood together. As the fleets dispersed, returning to their homeworlds to rebuild and recover, Elena knew that the future held many challenges. But for now, they had won a hard-fought peace. Standing on the bridge of the Dreadnought, Elena looked out at the stars, a renewed sense of purpose filling her. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. Whatever came next, she knew they would face it together. The Dreadnought, once a relic of a forgotten war, had become a symbol of unity and resilience. And as long as it flew, it would remind all who saw it that hope could be found even in the darkest of times.